All right, we are live. Tonight, we are talking about calm the chaos, and I am so excited for this webinar. So, whether you are watching it live or if you're watching it afterwards, it will absolutely change your life. And if you are on live right now, if you want to say hey in the chat, I can see everybody's in the chat, but that way I just know who's out there. And if you have any questions as we go through, put them in the chat and I will at the end make sure to go through that they are answered. A lot of times they're going to be answered throughout the whole webinar, so I won't address any of the questions until the very end. But if you are live and you have questions, put them in the chat and we'll make sure we have time for that. And also just say hey if you want to say hey, or if you like something, just amen, whatever it is. Hi, Melissa. We miss you guys so much, but I'm so glad that you are on. We love you from afar. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to make myself a little bit smaller and make the screen a little bit bigger. Hi, Marissa. Okay, so when we talk about just stress in general, like everyone is going to get stressed from time to time. And the problem though with stress is that when it becomes a constant state of stress all the time, and that's when it really starts to turn into a pretty serious problem. I'm going to do this one actually. Yeah. There we go. That didn't really make too much of a difference, but I feel like that was a little bit better. But when you are stressed constantly, it affects more than you even realize. But you might even realize it because it's affecting every single part of your entire body. So it can affect things like your respiratory system, your digestive system, your cardiovascular system, which is your heart. It can affect your musculoskeletal, so like your joints and your muscles. It can affect your entire nervous system. It can affect your reproductive system. It can affect your endocrine system. It can literally affect everything. And some of you even know that it can affect not only just your body, but it can affect things like your relationships, your spiritual health, your professional life, your social life, your mental health. Like it goes way bigger than we could ever even imagine. Now, your body does not become imbalanced overnight. So there is no magic bullet. There is no magic potion. There is not one supplement. There is not one food. There is not one thing that will fix the cause of the chaos. Okay? So in this webinar, you are going to learn what stress is. You will understand the effects of it. You're going to understand how it impacts your body. But the most important thing is at the end, we are absolutely going to go through tips and tricks and exactly what you need to do to get to the root cause and your body beginning to heal. My goal is that you can take control back of your health, that you have everything that you need to get healthy and well. I want you to be as educated as some of the best doctors in the world in terms of, especially when it comes to stress. Now, I'm not going to say that you're going to become a doctor by listening to this webinar, but I want you to be able to have a knowledgeable conversation with any healthcare professional, with any practitioner, because remember, like it is your health. It is nobody else's. It is your body and it can heal. So let's get into it. When it comes to stress, did you know that there's actually like good stress in the body? It goes from a state of calm that you can see right there, but there's also eustress. And that's when you're like in this optimal performance where you feel energized, you feel focused, like your work feels effortless. Because stress gets a pretty bad reputation. Like stress is actually important for your body to be able to function. It's your body's natural defense mechanism. If there's any dangerous things that are happening or predators, when something dangerous or bad happens, stress gets flooded inside of your body. Hormones start to do things. They do what they need to do, and then they go back down. Now, The problem though is that when we're in that for a long time, then we start to go into distress. And when you see distress right there, it's like you're feeling fatigued, you're feeling exhausted, your health is not very good, you break down, you feel burnt out. Bruce Lipton said it best. He says, you cannot be in growth and protection at the same time. So, what are these main causes of stress that are happening in your life? These are most people's stressors. And the way that we think about stress is a stress bucket. So your body is a bucket and it can only contain so much before it starts to overflow. And the problem becomes is when your bucket is so full of the stressors that you see right there. You can see a lot like work, family, whether past or present, relationship, finances. Did you know even like gut issues and having viruses, infections, like your health in general, what's attacking your body can be more of a stressor than even other things. Over exercising, a toxic load, even certain medications, and yes, even certain supplements can cause a stressor onto your body. Think about when you look at these right now, think about where you just do not feel in control of your reaction to those certain things. Think about like where in your world do you get stressed? Like, do you get stressed with your kids all the time? Do you get stressed in your life just in general? Like, it doesn't even matter what's happening. It's like everything is literally overflowing and you feel so overwhelmed that it's like everything. Are you stressed about your parents' health? Does everything in your life cause you stress? And listen, excuse me, I get it. Like life can be very, very stressful, but we need to understand what that stress is doing to our bodies. So we can see right here, and listen, I want to share with you right now, especially the stress hormone called cortisol and the adrenaline too. I want you to know what it affects. I want you to know how it happens. However, I'm just going to give you the basics. We are not going through like science and hormone lesson 101. I want you to just be able to understand what's happening. So, stress happens inside of your body. Do you know that when stress happens inside of your body, your adrenals don't just like kick in? So it's your brain's perception of the stress. So then it starts at the top, right where you see here, your brain. And what happens is your hypothalamus inside of your brain says, there is a stress. And so then your hypothalamus then talks to your pituitary gland, which is right next to it inside of your brain. And then it releases this right here, ACH, adenocorticotropic hormone. Sorry, there's so many words inside of there. Then that goes into your adrenal glands. And then your adrenal glands release cortisol and release adrenaline into our bodies. Now, when that happens, when you have high levels of cortisol in your body, when you have high levels of adrenaline inside of your body, what you're going to have is your dilation of your bronchioles. So then you start to breathe. Your breathing completely changes. You know, when you get stressed, you like stop breathing sometimes. You breathe even heavier. You breathe more, hyperventilation. Then you go down and you can see your liver converts glycogen to glucose. So glycogen is stored and we want to keep it stored. We don't want blood sugar to just start shooting out of our bodies, but it does. Decreased digestive system activity. So if you have high levels of cortisol, you are definitely going to have intestinal permeability issues. You're going to have digestive issues. You get stressed out. You might have diarrhea. One of the biggest causes of IBS is stress induced, and it causes it to just open up the whole pathway. Your heart rate increases, so it can even affect your blood pressure. Your blood pressure starts to shoot through the roof because you're stressed out. And this cycle continues and it continues and it continues until it is done. Now, there's more things that happen here that you don't realize. When you have so much cortisol inside of your body, eventually it stops. And then we have things like lower cholesterol. And when your body has lower cholesterol, you have even more issues that now it can affect fatigue, brain fog, low thyroid, low libido. It can cause anxiety. It can cause overwhelm, all sorts of mood issues. If this is continuing over time, they've even shown studies where it can cause osteoporosis, cause you to break down bone. Calcium is leached out of the bones into the bloodstream. Some of the other signs that this is happening inside of your body is like it can decrease your ambition. Like you are just so overwhelmed that you don't want to do anything. You're always stressed. It doesn't matter what it is. And that high cortisol is what a lot of times this right here looks like. But if it goes into that low cortisol, it is still just as bad. So it's not always about high cortisol, because eventually that's going to burn out. And then now you're going to have low cortisol. You have no energy. Your adrenals are done. You can't regulate your heart rate. You might even like try to walk up a flight of stairs or try to exercise and you are literally done. It can be horrible. You could have depression with low cortisol all the time because your body has and it's a horrible way to live our life. Now, here's the thing. You can recover. You can do it. So many of our patients have. I myself am in the process of continuing to do this. I've seen so many changes as I've addressed this cortisol. Is it easy? No, not always. Is it worth it? Absolutely. Every single time it's worth it. It's always worth it. And you might not think that as we go through the healing things that it's going to be worth it, but I promise you it will absolutely be worth it. Now, some of you, what's kind of crazy about all of this, and I'm just going to talk about this because I'll tell you right now, most people, the vast majority of people in the world have never had their cortisol levels checked. Not in an appropriate manner. Somebody's at the door. I'm going to just ignore them. Now, what does that mean? Well, it means that they've had their cortisol tested just like in passing. Maybe it's in your annual blood work. So what happens is your doctor will just run your cortisol levels usually through your blood. And that's pretty typical. And it usually happens once a year. But here's the thing. It's never been tested at the proper times. That means like the first thing that you need to do when you test it, and it's through a spit and a saliva test, is upon waking or in approximately 25 minutes after waking. This is called your cortisol awakening response. When that happens, you can see on this test right here, optimal. In the morning, it should be up a little bit higher. And then what happens is then you test it again about 20 to 30 minutes after waking. Then this is the natural part of the circadian rhythm, is that it should go from this part right here. It should go up, but do you see right there how that one has gone down at noon? So testing to see right before lunch, right before dinner, and then right before bed. That's when the cortisol levels begin to go down. This is a normal response. When your body's in this right position, then everything functions like it should. This is how it works in an ideal world. And if you've never had it tested, I encourage you to. This is just something to think about, which is a very important thing. That's why we do the functional health blueprint. And it not only tests your cortisol levels, but it tests your whole full thyroid panel, your cholesterol levels, your blood sugar levels, your insulin levels, your vitamin D levels, all your hormones from progesterone to estrogen. It also goes into your B12 levels, homocysteine, CRP, all the things that you want to know about how your body's functioning. Now, the caveat to this is that insurance doesn't cover it. And that's what's crazy about all of this. And when you think about insurance of why they don't do it, it's because we're not diagnosing disease. And that's what insurance is. If we're not diagnosing any disease, then insurance isn't going to pay for it. And so why won't they pay for it? Because insurance is a business. It's a big business. Pharmaceuticals, trying to doing blood work, trying to identify what's causing, well, actually not really what's causing. They're trying to diagnose something. And if they can't diagnose something, then they can't put it through insurance because it doesn't have the code. Do you know that in other countries like Germany or Switzerland, these labs are paid for? But are they paid for in the United States? They're not. Why? Because we're looking at preventative things, for one, and we're also looking at the underlying root cause of the disease in the first place. But if you are in Tennessee, I will absolutely help you. So then that way we can go through this, you let us know, and we'll make sure that you get the testing that you need. Now, acute versus chronic stress. Acute versus chronic stress, we need to understand that acute stress is really good. A new challenge, an athletic competition, a presentation like this right here. I bet if you tested my stress, which I'll see after this, what it looks like, it's going to be up high, but then afterwards it's going to go down. Exercise, that's an acute stress. Intermittent fasting can be, running sprints, but there's a difference. There's chronic stress. Your drive to work, every day, what does that look like? An annoying boss, a terrible work schedule, a difficult spouse, not sleeping well, negative friends, your own negative thoughts. And this continues to turn into this chronic stress. The chronic stress develops over time and it keeps on going and it keeps on going. And we want to be able to address, because those are the biggest consequences that we're going to have in our life. Then there's real versus perceived stress. When you think about this, it puts it into a big perspective. You have this stressor. It could be a tiger. It's your perception of whether or not that is a stressful thing, a threatening thing, a terrible thing. How you think about that and perceive that is how your body will respond. So remember, your adrenals don't just shoot up. It's your brain telling it that there is a bad thing happening, and it keeps going. And it's your perception of what that looks like. What does it mean? Because it's not as complex as it sounds, like this perceived stress. It's where you feel like you don't have control. It's unpredictable. And if you find your thoughts, they're spiraling a lot of times in what could happen, you decide that it's terrible and awful and it's inevitably going to be bad in your life. This is perceived stress. So the problem is that that negative feedback loop just continues to happen, and it goes HPA axis. It goes your hypothalamus, pituitary, adrenal gland, and it keeps on going, and then it keeps on going. And a lot of times it can even be how we think, the thoughts that we have. Worrying is a perceived stress, and it's a serious issue, because what they've seen is it can cause things like tension, headaches, pain, fatigue, digestive issues, stomach problems, anxiety, irritability, anger, a lack of focus, motivation, depression, eating disorders, substance abuse, addiction, sleep disorders. Some of these are a direct effect of stress, but some of it is unhealthy coping mechanisms. So it's important to be aware of whether or not that's a real stress in your life, or if we're perceiving it automatically to be a stressor in the first place. Now, some of you have known about this. It's rest and digest and fight or flight. It is difficult to regulate that HPA axis, that feedback loop, that hypothalamus, pituitary, adrenal axis. How does my brain, how can I tell my brain that everything is okay, so that my adrenals don't respond in a fight or flight and start releasing all of those hormones, the cortisol, the adrenaline? Because you can see there's two parts of your nervous system. There's the rest and digest, called your parasympathetic nervous system. Then there is your sympathetic nervous system, and that's in fight or flight. We want our bodies to be more in that rest and digest on a regular basis. We can see what it does. It keeps our heart rate slow. Our airways are good. Our stomach activity is great. Everything is doing what it needs to do inside of our liver, our digestive system, our bladder. Then we get into fight or flight. See what happens? Dilates the pupils, increases our heart rates. Our stomach starts to go crazy. We got to get out of that. And we have to understand that it does come from our nervous system. Our HPA axis is all part of the nervous system. There's no supplement that I can give you that's more powerful than the brain and the nervous system connection and how much they work together. The brain is connected to your nervous system. It goes from your brain down your spinal cord, and it connects to every single part of your entire body. We have to find ways that we can unwind not only our thoughts and our perceptions, but our nervous system as well. So the only way to calm this is to rein in those major stressors. And listen, I'm working with a lot of patients right now. And some of you know, because we've had this conversation before, is like, you're doing all the right things. You are eating right. You are exercising. You are taking supplements. You are getting adjusted, and nothing's working. Or it feels like, gosh, I'm doing all the right things and I just keep gaining weight. You're doing all the things that you need to do with your nutrition. You're eliminating all the things and you're just not getting the results, and it's just not enough. And I tell people, and I let you know all the time, listen, if your nervous system and your body is stressed out and dysregulated, none of that will change. None of that will change, especially things like psoriasis, weight gain, hormone issues. Exacerbating this stress causes all of that to get worse, even when you're doing the right thing. Now, it's not the easiest thing to address, but we're going to start. So I want to go back to what are most people's stressors and take a look at this. Now, can you relate to any of those? I can. If yes, I just want you to look at your top 2. How many? 2. Not all of them, okay? Not if there's 5, not if there's 6. That can also dysregulate your nervous system. So we start small. If we need to go back, this is what it looks like. What are the top 2 things? And these are the ones that you experience. Like if I were to be like, work, you'd be like, oh God. Like it automatically is a response inside of your body. You know what it is. Those are the top 2 that I want you to focus on. So now, here are some amazing ways that you're going to be able to calm your nervous system. The first thing is lifestyle. I want you to think about your morning routine, your day, and then your nighttime routine. This is consistent of your lifestyle. So in your day, one of the things that you can do is wake up 30 minutes early to have some quiet time by yourself. Now, you can see that I put that little clock there, and I'm talking about sleep next, but I want to talk about it here. Even that waking up response inside of your body, if it's an alarm that goes wah, 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 or your phone that does something crazy, like we don't want to wake up to that. That is like an instant, like cortisol, like not where you want to be, nervous system, holy smokes, what just happened? So waking up to this is, and it literally I just lost my brain on what this is called, but it's an alarm that is a calm alarm. It is you can call it a sunrise alarm, but it has another name and it just totally missed. But what happens is that you set an alarm at 10, no, you're not going to set an alarm at 10:28. Let's say you set an alarm at 5:30. At about 5 a.m., it's going to start to light up slowly, 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 slowly. And it's like a sunrise, and you're waking up slowly. You're not waking up aggressively. And it can help this initial response that right before you are getting ready to start your day, you're not starting it like, oh, like that. It's a slow one. We used to have one of these and we used it for a long time. We don't anymore because the second that light goes on, the dogs are like, hello, and we just couldn't do it. So I use my Whoop vibrates, so it's a little less of an wake up for us. So we try to do it more gently as a wake up. But waking up 30 minutes early to have some quiet time by yourself, getting to bed 30 minutes earlier so that you can get more sleep, walking without doing any work, not listening to anything, just going on a peaceful walk, watching anything that makes you laugh. It's one of my favorite things to do. I love stand-up comedy. I love anything that makes me laugh. And then being around people that care for you and love you. That is just these are just lifestyle easy things that you can do on a regular basis. Now, let's talk about sleep for a second. The reason I want to talk about sleep is because cortisol goes down when you sleep and melatonin goes up when you go to sleep. And then it's an inverse relationship, just like you see right here. Your cortisol goes up in the day and then goes down at night. And then melatonin is down in the day and then goes up at night. So there's this inverse relationship between cortisol and melatonin. Now, the average person needs between 7 to 9 hours of sleep. And bedtime should be between 8 to 10 ideally. Now, the reason is because any time that, I'm skipping ahead of myself. The more active that you are, the better sleep. But the more hours before midnight that you get, the better. It's like compound interest before midnight going to bed of how much you get sleep, which will help balance stress and cortisol levels. You guys know if you don't get enough sleep, you're a crank, like super cranky, and stress levels go up way high. And if you're trying to heal from anything, you're going to need closer to 8 to 9 hours. Now, if you have a tracker and you want to know like how much REM should I get and how much deep sleep, so 2+ hours of REM sleep every night, 1.5 hours of deep sleep every night. Now, there's a caveat to this. If you're on this right here at the end of the night, your body mistakes that for light. So then it's hard for melatonin to be produced. So then what you're doing in like right before you go to bed matters of whether or not your cortisol levels are going to be balanced and your melatonin goes to where it needs to be. But get between 7 to 9 hours every single night. Get into bed between 8 and 10 ideally. Wake up between 5:30 and 7:30 every morning. Now, like you want to be always within like a half an hour of each one of those each night, trying to keep it as consistent as possible. This right here, gosh, it will do wonders for your stress levels. Now, another thing that is absolutely super impactful for your stress has to do with what you're reading and what you're listening to. Of course, the Bible is going to be number one, because the more that we do that, the more that we receive truth into our being, into our bodies, and we can't separate our mind, body, soul, and spirit. So the more that we get that in line, the more that our bodies will get into line. The power of the subconscious mind. I'm reading it right now. And the harmony inside of your body is what you're saying over yourself and to yourself on a daily basis. And if you are saying things like, I'm not enough, I am not good enough, oh, this is terrible, everything's going to be awful, nothing ever goes well for me, and I'm just going to go eat a whole bunch of worms. Like that right there, that's what you create. So you create your world with what you think about in your mind and what you say over yourself. And it's a powerful, powerful book to help retrain. It's godly based, and it talks about prayer and what that looks like and how to begin to retrain your subconscious mind. That's the mind that you don't even realize that is creating your world around you. Infinite Possibilities is a great one. 64 Success Principles, and anything by Tony Robbins, Les Brown, Jim Rohn, and Zig Ziglar. Absolutely fantastic of getting your body into the proper state of mind. Now, sometimes therapy is needed. The first one is called lens therapy. So it is low energy neurofeedback system. Harmonized Brain Centers is right here in Nashville. They have a couple, they also have one in Murfreesboro and one in Colorado. Dr. Michael and I both go to it. The picture that you see on that right-hand side is what lens therapy is. And what it does is it helps your brain begin to self-regulate its electrical impulses so that it can reach its optimal function. And what it does is it's brain mapping. And so they put a node electrode on and there's an EEG. So it's reading the brain waves in certain spots of your brain that do specific things. And I can tell you that when I started doing lens therapy, it changed my whole thing. I did it. I went and she did the 21 different spots in the brain. They're the experts at this. So this isn't a lens therapy webinar, but walking through what it is that there's 21 different spots that she measured, and she did a slight therapy session where what they do is they put some of the EEG inside of there and allow your brain to then take that brainwave. So the idea behind it is if you've had a trauma, whether a physical trauma or an emotional trauma, your brain has interpreted it as one thing, perceived it, right? And so then it needs to go from the back to the front, but it can get stuck and it cannot go all the way or complete its full message that it needs to get through. And so this therapy helps to find those spots where it's not fully getting through and allowing your brain to be able to do it. But when I left my first one, I was driving in the car and everything in my brain was quiet. It was crazy because it's not usually at all. And it felt so peaceful. And the biggest thing that I've seen from lens therapy myself is that if something happens in our life that is super stressful, I used to freak out. I would go down the path of worrying. I would go down the path of I wouldn't sleep at night. And now it's okay, no big deal. And it's not that I don't care, but it's how I now perceive it is completely different because my brain's been able to heal. Because I've gotten to a car accident, I hit my head, if you've ever had a concussion, lens therapy is definitely something that will help you. Now, HRV, I'm going to talk about that here in just a second, but there's something that if you don't want to go to therapy, there's things that you can do at home. HRV is your heart rate variability. We'll talk about that in just a minute, but at home, there's a thing called heart math, and I was going to show you how to do it, but it just wouldn't have worked, but I'm going to show you in the next slide, what it is, and I'll talk through what that means. But then also going to therapy, CBT is cognitive behavioral therapy, internal family systems therapy, or neuro-linguistic programming. They can be excellent tools with dealing with anything with past trauma that could be creating the stress that's inside of your body. Talking to someone, a trusted friend once a week, it doesn't even have to be a therapist, but perhaps somebody that's trusted, not somebody that creates more stress or just kind of lets you wallow in it, but helps you through, lets you talk it out. That way you can share how you feel and how you're trying to heal. Now, let's talk about HRV. I think HRV is super, super, super important. Again, it stands for heart rate variability. And so what this means is it's the change in time of intervals between heartbeats that you have. And what they've seen is that it's directly related, your HRV levels and what it looks like is directly affected to your health and how well your body is adapting to the environment. Having an optimal HRV level helps your body regulate itself. It helps it adapt, and it helps it to become super resilient. And that's what we're looking for, is stress resilience. Our body is resilient. It is adaptable. It is strong. It can self-regulate because it's designed and made to, but stuff can happen. So when you look at that right there, that frustration that you see right here, that is the HRV that you see right there, but that is too jagged. You see how it goes up and then it goes down and then here and then there and then all of that. Heart rate variability is good. The more that it's variable, the better, but it can be too variable or not variable enough. And that itself is chaos in the body. That frustration right there, this is chaos inside of your body. And the HRV tells us that. Now, look, if you shift to appreciation, look how it does these waves that are pretty up and down. They're pretty even like this. That isn't a fantastic HRV and where you want to go to. Now, heart math is a way to help to regulate certain things with your HRV. So what you see on this side right here is a picture of what heart math is. And it's a way that you will breathe. It's a way that you will think about something. You can think about something that stresses you out. You can think about a person that stresses you out. You can think about a past experience that stresses you out. And it's an earlobe monitor that checks your HRV real time. So real time, it will check to see, and then there'll be a screen like this, and it'll tell you like breathing in, breathing out. There's different things that it has for that, and it shows you how to be able to do that, and you think about it. And when you do that, like you can see the HRV becomes balanced. And then this also, when you dip into the red, it's not bad, but then you're able to see how it goes up. You could do this, like you could wear this at any time. It'd be a little bit weird, but you could, like I could wear it right now and be able to see what my heart rate variability is while I'm doing this. And it's probably not going to be very good, but then I could stop and I could begin to breathe. And it would show a difference in my HRV and bring it back to where it needs to be to get my heart rate variability back to its normal. This is also a great tool where you could see what things work best for you. Like, is it breathing? Is it box breathing? Is it sitting in silence? Is it listening to music? Is it just being still? Is it your meditation? How's your meditation doing? Part of what they do with the lens therapy is I am connected to an HRV thing. I am connected to, you're connected to an earlobe monitor at the same time. So they're doing both of those. And you do these on ideally a daily basis. You could do it anywhere from 2 minutes to 10 minutes. You don't want to do a whole lot because you can overextend the nervous system. But I think it's a great way to see how your body is able to adapt into the right position of where it needs to be. Now let's talk about just optimizing your health in general, getting adjusted. If you couldn't see it in the fight or flight response and the rest and digest, like it all comes from your nervous system. If there's any dysregulation, if your spine is out of position in the upper part, like that can absolutely cause your body to go into a fight or flight, like in through the middle section, same thing, and the upper and lower. And that's why we check to see that some of you realize like you're calmer after an adjustment. You just feel like, oh my gosh, this is so great. And that is because it's re-regulating your nervous system. It's getting your body out of fight or flight. It's finding where there's a physical shift and a physical stress inside of your body and allowing it to get regulated. So don't miss your adjustments. Do your home care exercises. If you've never been to a chiropractor before, absolutely, you need to be checked. If you're here in Nashville, I'll talk to you about an opportunity that's next week that you can come in and get checked. Now, heart math is a biofeedback. Lens is a biofeedback mechanism, but there are other things that you can wear on your body to get feedback right away of like how your body is doing. Is it stressed? Is it not? There's two kinds that we love. One is the Aura Ring, and it goes onto your finger, your thumb. You can wear it on any one of your appendages, and it helps to regulate, and it goes directly to your phone and tells you your sleep. It tells you your HRV. It goes into your recovery. For women, it absolutely helps you with your menstrual cycle to regulate, to see where you need to be. And then the Whoop. Dr. Michael and I and everybody in the office wears a Whoop. And we love the Whoop because at all times it's telling us exactly where we're at. It tells me how much REM I got. It tells me my sleep cycles. It is on my phone right now. We can go to like my yesterday. It has it all right here. So I can see real time where I'm at and how my stress is doing. It does my HRV, my efficiency, my hours of sleep, my restorative sleep, where my sleep is off. My stress monitor is also on here. Should we check it and see? I'm at low stress. This is actually pretty good, but it can test my stress at real time to see where I'm at, my strain, my recovery, so I can know how my body is functioning. Now, another thing that I love are called binaural beats. I just did it again yesterday, and I picked binaural beats as far as focus goes. So you can do it focus, and you just need to have 2 earbuds in because it's music on this side, music on this side that are specifically set to be able to help with focus or sleep. And I love those. It helps to just re-regulate those brain waves that we're talking about to get everything back to where it needs to be. Now, meditation. Even if you hate meditation, I think you have to do it. Of all of the things that I just talked about, this one right here, I would say would be the number one thing that you will gain control of your mind. You are with yourself and in your brain 168 hours a week. What do we need to be able to do? We have to start a meditation practice like we have to. We have to be able to gain control of our most dominant thoughts. We need to be able to calm ourselves in response to stress. So every morning, I have to do mine guided because I have a very big squirrel mind. And I have the Calm app and I do 10 minutes. I wake up every morning, 5:15. I know it says 5:30, but that's what I got to do if I want to get all of this in. So 5:15, I wake up. I changed up my things now. So if some of you have followed me in the past, you're like, you wake up at 4:30. Nope. I wake up at 5:15 now because I was realizing I wasn't getting enough sleep. And I go underneath, we have red lights, and then I turn on my Calm meditation app, and 10 minutes is what I do of that. Then I read my Bible devotional. Then I get ready and I go to Pilates. I stopped doing CrossFit this month and I'm doing things to calm my nervous system down. And CrossFit wasn't it at the moment because my cortisol levels were really low. So I needed to bring them back up because I know that they've been super high for a long time. And then I come back home and I will get into the sauna and then I will read. I'm reading The Power of the Subconscious Mind. So I will go and I will read that in the morning. But meditation is a big thing. And then the next thing that you can do to optimize, this is all extra, but massage, but more of like the light massage, not like how hard can they go into my pack? Let's think light, calming, relaxing massage. And then foot reflexology. Our whole team is going tomorrow to get foot reflexology. We love it. Every single one of us is always like, oh my gosh, that was just amazing, of them just spending time massaging our feet for 30 minutes. And we're doing it as a team fun day to help calm our nervous systems to be healthy and well. Now there's supplements. People always ask me if I could do one supplement, like what would it be? If you could do one thing for your health, what would it be? If I could eat only one food, what would it be? Listen, there is not just one. Okay. I wish I could give you one, but I'm not the one girl. Like that's not what it is. There's no one best diet. There's no one best supplement. There's no one best workout. However, when we take a look at things of targeted supplements for stress, ashwagandha, rhodiola, L-theanine, holy basil, all the ones that you see right there, vitamin C, magnesium, vitamin D, and zinc. Now, one of my favorite supplements targeted wise to really work on cortisol levels and stress levels and to balance things out is called the Adrenal Balance. It doesn't have all of those inside of there. Specifically, it doesn't have magnesium in there. It doesn't have vitamin D in there, and it doesn't have zinc inside of there. So those are extra. You should be taking magnesium and vitamin D every day anyways, especially when you're stressed out. The vitamin C, magnesium, vitamin D, and zinc, when you are stressed out, your body runs through those so fast and so quick that it needs extra. And whether you eat it or you take it in a supplement form, we have to get extra of those in stressful times and stressful seasons. And in order for your body to be able to heal, it has to have enough of those things. So I'm not here telling you that you treat stress with supplements or you treat high cortisol or low cortisol with supplements. That's not what it is. You have to be able to have these things inside of your body in order for them to function and work properly like they should. And you know what? There's times and places where you need to absolutely be on a supplement because your body's been so depleted for so long that it needs some help. And Adrenal Balance is that. And you can get it onto our website, majorfamilychiropractic.com. There's a store and you can get it right there. Now, the goal here is to choose one from each category and then slowly begin to incorporate them into your everyday life. Here's an example of how to make that happen. I want you to be like, this is what my day is going to look like. I am a de-stressor. I am not stressed anymore. I am a de-stressor. We're changing our mindset and our thoughts. Wake up 30 minutes early, listen to or read a self-improvement audio program, book, the Bible. After getting ready for the day, enjoy your healing smoothie. Use the appropriate supplements that your body needs. Mid-morning, sneak away for 10 minutes to either do a calm meditation. You can use the binaural beats for 10 minutes. At lunch, go for a 20-minute walk after you eat to keep things calm, help regulate your blood sugar level. Go for a 20-minute walk. Mid-afternoon, sneak away for about 10 minutes, do another calming meditation with some binaural beats. And then every week or two, like when the kids go to bed or you're done with your workday, call a friend or a therapist or a coach to check in, keep you accountable, help hold you to becoming a de-stressor. And all of this is very possible. It is just doing it. Okay? I really do hope that all of these were helpful for you, and that even if you just do one, that will begin to allow your body to heal. And it will happen faster if it's even just one as opposed to zero. Just one. Now, I want to reiterate a couple things. It's not going to happen overnight, but you will get there as long as you keep moving forward. And I want to remind you that you have control over your health. This is your body. We only get one. So let's take care of our bodies, the temples that we have been given. Take care of them and begin to de-stress your life. I want to let you know what's coming up before I check to see if there's any questions, but we have Friends and Family Week next week. So if you are local to Nashville, next week is our Friends and Family Week. You can get checked, or if you're thinking about somebody, if you're on here, of your friends or your family, they can literally call the office. They can, if you've been in the office, they can schedule on the QR code to come into our office, but call the office, email the office, text the office. Those are my favorite weeks. What happens is any of your friends or your family, they get their initial consultation, their exam, and their x-rays. They get to begin their healing journey. And it's just $68. But what happens on Friends and Family Week is that it's 100% of it is donated to People Loving Nashville, which is a nonprofit here in Nashville. And then save the date, okay? Our next workshop isn't until October 12th, so you have about a month to clear your schedule, but October 12th at 9 a.m. It's not going to be online. It's going to be in our office. It's Beyond the Bellyache, so we're going to be talking all about gut health. So you don't want to miss that one, but save the date. You'll start to see things in the office, and we'll be posting things, so then that way you can sign up for that. It's going to be amazing. Awesome. Hi, Margaret. I didn't see your yay. I don't see any questions on here. So that is the end of tonight's webinar. You can go back and watch it. So always go onto your YouTube. You can go to YouTube, Major Family Chiropractic, and press the live button, and it will always be there. You can watch it as many times as you want to. And if it helped you, share this with someone. Share this with a friend, share it with a family member, help them to become healthy and well. Our mission is to inspire people to honor the wisdom of their body and live a life free from interference. And stress is one of those biggest interferences. And the more healthy people that we have in this world, the better. So I want to thank you guys for being on here. If you have any other questions, don't hesitate to reach out. Love you all.